keep it straight with you, that was crap. That was fresh turd. That was the freshest of turd. For a go-home show of the calibre of the Royal Rumble, you have your top 4: SummerSlam, WrestleMania, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble. For me, Royal Rumble is the one that's the most exciting of them all. WrestleMania is the biggest, has the most eyes, but the Royal Rumble is your most exciting one. It's going to bring in a lot of lax fans, and you blew it. You dropped the ball for their go-home show, and it wasn't even close. I'm going to give this a 2 out of 5 rating, and I'm being generous. In my opinion, I'm being generous. For me, this was a 1 out of 5 go-home show. There was a couple of little bits that I'll talk about throughout the show that I thought were decent, but this as a go-home show was awful. I'm Josh from BWR, and this is just one man's opinion. I'm going to review this show, and if you enjoy it, let me know. Comment down below, hit the bell if you're interested in the channel, and hit the like button if you thought I did a good review. The show opens with Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan is wearing his GM gimmick, basically. He comes down, and Daniel's saying, like, the Royal Rumble's this weekend. He's trying to hype it up, get some intrigue in it. Decent little start to the show, right? He's saying, like, nobody knows what it... Like, he's never won the Royal Rumble, but nobody knows what it's like to have that WrestleMania moment, and that nice little callback to WrestleMania 30. No one knows what it's like to have the moments, but he doesn't know how many more moments he's got left in him. So he's going to do everything he possibly can to try and win it this year. This leads to AJ Styles coming down. And you might be wondering, AJ's a Raw superstar. Brand's a band invitational. Fuck, that's a crutch of a gimmick, isn't it? AJ comes down. AJ's basically saying he's stopped everyone's hopes on Raw, and now he's going to stop Bryan's. Bryan just goes, look, let's have a match then. AJ shoves Bryan down to the ground. Bryan gets up, and it's the same old stuff you see on Raw. Omos is stood there just like, I am big man. Bryan just goes, alright, let's have a match then. But don't bring your man. And if you did bring your man, I'm still going to kick your ass. Fair enough. After this, we get a recap of the Bayley-Bianca Belair feud from last week. That was a segment. Slightly impressive, though, that she was able to do it in that time whilst carrying Otis. Got to give Bianca Belair a bit of credit there. Now, this is one of the few things that I thought was good on this show. Bianca Belair against Bayley. Good little match. They had a nice little promo beforehand. Bayley referenced the WWE Chronicles that's been done for Bianca Belair, as well as mentioning that she ran from quite a lot of stuff in her past, and says, like, she won't be able to run from Bayley. This will be the worst thing she can have. We go to the match, and it's quite even early on. Bayley keeps targeting the shoulder that got injured throughout the segment last week. Nice little callback. But each time she was trying it early on, we ended up having Bianca Belair try quite easily countering a lot of the stuff that was happening. And this leads to Bayley eventually, though, she snaps it on the ropes, and we go to the commercial break. And when we come back, it's just slow, methodical. Bayley's targeting the shoulder. Anything you can imagine, she keeps going for. Bianca Belair's showing off some athleticism, and eventually she does hit the KOD for the win. Bianca Belair has a little interview afterwards, but overall, good little fun TV match. It wasn't nothing too spectacular, because we know that Bianca Belair can do more. We know Bayley can do more, but for a TV match, given the time they got, okay, it was a good little fun TV match. What was not a fun little TV match was the following match. King Corbin against Dominic Mysterio. You thought Seth Rollins versus the Mysterio family was the feud that just does not die. No, we have this one as well. Dominic Mysterio has some potential in him. As we've seen, he can be very smooth in the ring, but I don't know what it is. King Corbin, he has that, like, mid-card villain that could be quite good, but sometimes when he's on on my TV screen, I just don't want to see him. This match was slow, clunky. Ray was on commentary, and Ray offered little substance, if any. He was just trying to be the concerning father. After a while, this gimmick has got a bit old. Like, Ray knows what it's like to be a wrestler, so surely he knows that his son will be fine. And it's getting old very quick for me. This match has little bits of back and forth, but it is dominated primarily by Baron Corbin, who eventually does hit the end of days for the 1-2-3. Ray's going into the ring to check his son. Corbin tries to attack him, and all he does is get sent onto the steps. 50-50 booking, I guess. It was fucking awful. We then get another backstage segment. Big E's backstage. He's trying to slip Sonya a nice little $1 bill, find out what his Royal Rumble number's going to be. I miss the days of when we had the little ball spinner. Reach in, get your number, it's done at random. Instead, we're getting crap like Natalya versus Tamina tomorrow on backstage for the number 30 entrant. No one cares about any of them ones. Like, who gives a fresh turd on that one? If Tamina or Natalya is number 30, that one that you can't wait to see, that final number, is it going to be a debut, a return, is it going to be a call-up? But no, we're going to be getting either Tamina or Natalya. I hope they swerve us and it's someone like Rhea Ripley, but fuck off. Instead, this segment leads to Miz and Morrison going backstage. They're basically saying, Brent Band Invitational, we can cash in on the Universal Champion. Leads to a little brawl between Big E and them. We then go back, we get a little recap promo between Owens and Roman for the entire feud. I gotta give credit, the production team always do a good promo package for a feud that's been going on for like this. They even tried to do it for the Drew McIntyre Goldberg feud, and you gotta give them credit where it's due. They have one of the best production teams in all of wrestling, if not the best. And I'm not just going for wrestling, in terms of TV, they have one of the best production crews, so you gotta give WWE credit where it's due. We then go to a backstage segment. Sammy finds Shinsuke Nakamura backstage. He says basically, everything you did that was great involved me. Your debut match in NXT, me. Your Intercontinental Championship match, me. Like, everything you do that's good is because of me. So I think it's time for you to pay a little bit of that back. And Shinsuke just says, go to hell. Fair enough. We then get a interview segment between Roman and Kevin Owens. Kevin's basically asked by Michael Cole, like, what will be different this time? Like, what's so different this championship challenge compared to the rest? And KO just goes, look, nothing's going to be different. As far as I'm aware, I've already beat Roman all these times. And he's just managed to keep me down for a 3 count. He's never been able to keep me down. He's always had his family attacking me, getting involved. Well, this time, his family's not going to be able to do it, because this time I'm the one that's going to be staying up, and Roman will be down as my victim and as I become the new champion, basically. Yes, I explained that very poorly. Roman then brings up Kevin's family, says, how's your father? And Kevin goes, my father was a nice man, he was tough, he was a strong man. Roman goes, well, what about your grandfather? And at this point, Kevin's going, like, we may be in separate rooms right now, but come the Rumble, we will be eye to eye. So watch your fucking mouth. This leads to Roman basically goading as much as he can. He's saying, like, look, once you finally pass away, because you don't get it, you don't get that your tribal chief is trying to help you, but once you pass away, you'll see your grandparents. They'll tell you. They'll tell you that we embraced the tribal chief. Why didn't you? And they'll be embarrassed of you. This leads to Kevin Owens going nuts, saying, like, he knows who he is. His family would be proud of who he is now. That's why he's got his grandparents' initials tattooed onto his knuckles. He is proud of who he is. He's happy with who he sees in the mirror. But the only thing he's going to see different this Sunday is that a championship is going to be on his shoulder. This was some nice babyface fire from Kevin Owens. One of the few things that I did like on this show, like I said. So far, I've only really got 2 good things about the show. I've got the booking of Bianca Belair, made her look strong, beat Bayley, and then gave her that little promo afterwards to be like a favourite of the Royal Rumble. Kevin Owens, babyface fire. We all know he's not going to fucking win, but it's giving him that, like, there's that doubt of maybe he could do it, but he's not going to, really, is he? And my third thing is now, the main event, all of it, is a clusterfuck, but they did well in building how resilient Daniel Bryan can be, and I'll explain it all now. So we have Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles, and Cesaro's on commentary for it. As soon as I saw Cesaro was on commentary, I was like, well, something's happening. But Cesaro did very well. Cesaro was putting over AJ, Bryan, the Rumble itself. Cesaro was very good on commentary. I was quite surprised to see that. Eventually, Sami Zayn comes out, and there's some good mat wrestling, some catch style. It was very good between Bryan and AJ. A lot of back and forth. At one point, AJ goes for the phenomenal forearm for Bryan to counter into a butterfly suplex, into an armbar, into the label lock. seamless, very nice, very nice. I could watch AJ Bryan have a singles match any week. Even when it's one like this, where you know it's more segment than match, it was still a good match. Eventually, as I said, Sammy came down. We lead to Big E coming down because he's like conspiracy theories and all this crap. Big E comes down, takes out Sammy. He then throws Sammy into Cesaro, which was for no reason made Big E look a bit of a dick. Cesaro just goes like, what the hell, shoves him, and we have a little pull apart brawl, but really, it just falls into chaos. This leads to Shinsuke Nakamura coming down for the save. They run roughshod, and eventually it does lead to Shinsuke and Cesaro almost butting heads and just having that like, okay, we're still competitors, but let's go our separate ways on this one. Nice little touch. This leads to a 6-man tag, and again, this once again to me felt like it was more segment than match. You started off with Shinsuke against Cesaro, which shouldn't be a little 6-man tag thing. This could be a great singles feud. They had the tag team. This can be well. Just don't do it in a 6-man tag. But I mean, spill it out of the Royal Rumble. That's when you have them finally come to blows, and then you can have a feud going off of that, leading up to, I don't know, if you want to blow it off Fastlane, a quick little feud, or do it even at Mania. So after that, you then coincidentally have Big E and Sammy in the ring at the same time, and then coincidentally again, you have Bryan and AJ in the ring at the same time. This leads to Bryan getting worked over quite a lot throughout this match. During the AJ Bryan match, Bryan was having his leg targeted quite a lot by AJ, and it's the same here. The heels eventually just lead to Bryan getting targeted quite a lot, taking out his leg. And then, out of nowhere, for some reason, we have Miz and Morrison come down and just attack Big E for the DQ because Big E's getting a little bit of momentum. Fair enough. Why? But okay. Again, this leads to Otis coming out and we have another bit of chaos. And it's just, the key word to explain this whole main event, chaos. Because that's what it was. And chaos doesn't always mean ratings. It doesn't always mean good. It just sometimes means chaos. And chaos can sometimes be bad. Like this. We then lead to what they called a 10-man tag match. It was a 5-on-4 handicap match up until the last 2 minutes. And it's just, again, everyone works over Bryan, targeting Bryan's leg. And it's just showing how resilient Bryan can be. Because Bryan, like Cesaro said in the first part of this trio, Cesaro says how resilient Bryan can be, and also that Bryan can get some momentum out of nowhere. He doesn't need to rely on wins and losses. He can get momentum from out of nowhere, and that was a nice little touch because it does work into every segment of these matches. Where Bryan, once again, gets momentum from out of nowhere. He is getting targeted quite a lot, but eventually, after so long, the heels eventually decide, you know what, we're going to take out the other heels because AJ and Bryan end up on the floor after going for the crossbody. They both land on the floor. So they take out all the heels and it looks like Bryan's on his own. He's about to be taken out by Sammy before Sheamus's music hits. Okay, another Raw star. I hate this brand invitational crap. But we end up having Sheamus coming down and Sheamus gets the hot tag and he just runs riot, takes everyone out. Hits the bro kick on Sammy for the win after everyone else hits their signature moves on each other. Gets the 1-2-3 and is immediately attacked by Miz and Morrison, AJ, all attacking him. And this leads to, say it with me, another Raw star in Braun Strowman coming down to take everyone out. That's too much Raw on a SmackDown show. But he takes everyone out. They're trying to hype it up like, yeah, fair enough. Braun has returned and Braun looks in incredible shape. Just remember when Braun first debuted to Braun now. Braun's in such good shape. Fair play to him. But this feels like wasted. You should have just left this for the Royal Rumble and it could have maybe put doubt in people's minds during the match. Like, hang on, Braun's back. Maybe they could. Like, because we're all hearing about this scary situation that could happen at the Rumble. So, like, if Braun came out, no one's going to be looking at this thinking, oh, yes. No, they're going to see that, like, oh, crap, it actually could be Braun that wins this. And that's what all they're trying to put over, basically, at the end. He attacks Cesaro for far too long. Eventually, like I said, the commentary are trying to put over, like, oh, can I change my pick? I think Braun's going to win it. You'll have to find out at the Rumble to put it out. Again, like I said, for me, this is a 2 out of 5 show. This was poor. For your go-home show. And your angle is the returning Braun Strowman. Nothing against Braun. I think Braun's great. But he's not a go-home show angle, is he? Like, this was shocking. Poor. And I hope WWE prove me wrong by this all tying in at the Royal Rumble, and we do get a great Royal Rumble. I'm going to try and do some Royal Rumble predictions for tomorrow, because it's always nice to see how people think what's going to happen on the Royal Rumble. I watched Wrestle Talks the other day and I thought there were some interesting ones, but I disagreed with quite a few of them for once. So I'll post mine and see how I compare to a lot of people's. So I'm Josh from BWR. Like I said, comment down below what you thought. If you have any input onto it, hit the bell, go and see my friend Connor, and thank you. Peace.